What's up, y'all? We want to welcome you back to the Elevate podcast. My name's Kevin, and I'm here with my roommate and good friend, Joseph Santos.
What's happening, Kev? How we doing, brother?
I'm good, bro. I'm good. I want to hear about you, man. You just came back from vacation.
Yeah, I took a little trip up north with some of my best friends. It was honestly much needed. I feel good right now, man. I'm not gonna lie. Like I feel like I definitely needed it. I was a little bit tired. I was a little bit worn out, and it was just a good time to go see my brother, go see some of our other really good friends from up there, and just hang out, man. Get away, and PUC has always been a place for me where I can just go away and just focus, right? There's the back 40. You can just walk around campus, which is really empty right now
No one's there.
because nobody's there because of COVID. And it was just really nice, man. And I think everybody who joined me on the trip and was a part of it. And yeah, but now I'm back. I'm ready to go. And we have some news coming out of my church, which we'll share in a couple weeks probably. And we're gonna move on, and
Yeah.
we're gonna go from there. So I'm ready, man. It's exciting for sure.
That's good. That's good. You know, I it was. I'm not gonna lie, man. It was nice being away from each other for a
Dude,
good
I
while.
I think it was fantastic. I probably for the first time in since we started living together.
Since like no. I feel like we did spend a good amount of time away from each other. It's just quarantine has just forced us to be
Yeah.
around each other a lot longer than we expect to be.
Yeah, and honestly, not texting you and not seeing your face for 5 days
It's freaking amazing,
was
bro.
awesome, bro. Like you have no idea. It
Amazing.
was nice. Like I didn't even think about you
Me
till I
either,
had
bro.
to. Then I had
Me
to
either.
text you. I was like, "Oh, Kevin, we have to record the podcast this
Yeah.
week." But no, it's good to be back, bro. It's good to just to be here, man. And you need your vacation. I think it was a big thing. You need to take that break before you get to that point where
Oh, absolutely.
you're not good for anybody. And I think I was almost at that point where I wasn't helping myself. I wasn't helping my church members, my youth, my young adults as the best way I can.
Yeah.
But like that's the beauty of it, man. Like now you can take some time and we're ready to go.
Yeah, man. I felt it. I mean, I went camping this weekend with my young adults, and
Mm.
it was nice because I wasn't in charge. I kind of just sat back and kind of just enjoyed the ride. So it was good. It was freezing. I haven't been camping in like 10 years. So
Pathfinder strong,
Pathfinder
baby.
strong, man. So it was good. But you know what? I'm glad that we're back here. We're back at the Elevate podcast. And today we're talking about breakups, man.
Yes, this is the end of our relationship series. Not to say we won't come back. There's so much to go about. There's so much to talk about. But for this point, at this moment, this is going to be our last episode. And what are we talking about today, Kev?
I just said what we were talking about. We're talking about breakups.
Oh, you didn't let me do my thing, bro. That's my thing. Like where I say, Kev, what are we talking about today? That's kind of messed up, bro. You kind of like ruined my whole thing.
Oh,
Whatever.
We're
Bro.
ta-
We're talking about
we're
breakups.
talking about
and,
breakups,
and,
y'all.
based on how this podcast is going, I might have to break up with Kev
Oh,
right
mercy.
now.
It's
You
okay.
ready to break up, bro?
It's a long time coming, bro.
It's been coming.
We just became like best friends. It's like, all right, man, it's
Dude,
over.
1 month of best friends, and we're like, I'm done with you, bro. I want nothing to do with you.
Oh man, no, bro. But honestly, breakups are interesting, man.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say, honestly, bro, I missed you.
Sure, that too, bro.
I don't know why. I just thought you were gonna say that. It's okay. But yeah, no, breakups are interesting, man.
Yeah, man. I think.
How do you deal with breakups?
Oh,
Are you like the type of guy that, ghosts people? Are you the type of guy that it's super awkward when you see that person? Like, what's your thing, bro? Like, breakups they're a huge part of our lives,
Yeah.
as a whole, unless you find that person and you never let them go, right?
yeah.
But I think you and I have been through our fair share of
Yeah.
breakups during our young time.
Oh man, this can get messy real quick. So we just gotta we just
Lord,
gotta be mindful.
Please bless us.
Yeah. Actually, we didn't even pray before this podcast.
You want to say a quick prayer?
Huh?
All right, let's pray real quick. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, help us right now as we're about to do this podcast on breakups, and that it can, help everybody who needs to hear this. And Lord, that you can speak through us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Way to slide in that prayer. Now this podcast is gonna be blessed, and
Yes.
our listeners are gonna be blessed and whatnot. But honestly, man, I don't think I've ever had a real messy breakup. I think for the most part, my past breakups have been pretty. I mean, I think it's been very respectful. It's come to an end. There was no resentment. There was no anger. I think for the most part, yeah. Like I think I've had pretty solid breakups. So
Yeah, man. I mean, yeah, that's good. That's great.
what about you, Joseph?
Oh no,
Tell me more.
no. I think most of my breakups they ended just like they ended, and that was it. And then you both move on, and that's just kind of how it went for me.
Hmm.
There's like not really any hate. It wasn't any animosity. It was just all right. We're done, and we move our separate ways, and that's it.
Hmm.
People ask why. You're just like just didn't work out.
Hmm.
You know.
That's interesting. I feel like man, this is such a touchy subject because, like I said, this can get messy so fast. Because at the end of the day, right? We don't know who's going to be listening to this podcast. We don't know if we're going to step on anybody's toes. But I think we
Yeah.
just got to give the disclaimer. You know what? We're just going to be as relatable as possible, and we hope not to offend anybody. We hope not to bring out past baggage, because at the end of the day, like the thing about breakups is the important thing is to eventually be able to move on. And I think this is just a good opportunity that we have to help people process their breakups, and
Yeah.
if they're still dealing with the breakup, how to go about it, or if someone's out there thinking of it's time to break up.
So let's start there.
Yeah.
How do you know? Like, are there signs? What do you think? Like, if you're in a weird space with a significant other where you guys are dating for a while now, but you just, you don't know. It's okay, but it's not great. Maybe there's some things here and there that maybe you just don't match. Like, what do you do, Kev? How do you navigate that space?
So I'm a firm believer that the breakup should not be the first option. I think it should be the very, very dead last option.
Okay.
I think there's a bunch of things that can happen in a relationship that can just you can be in a funk, dude.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people, and I honestly, this was me back in the day. Like whenever I saw that something was not good in any of my like relationships in the past, as soon as like there was like really bad awkward silence, or our interactions were not going well over a period of time, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like this isn't even working out anymore, like maybe we shouldn't be together anymore, blah blah blah, right? And so
Sheesh.
we've talked about this in the past. Like I think a lot, and so the other thing that I would also say is just we also have to be careful not to overthink the situation.
Yeah.
Because you never know what the other person is going through. So I think you just got to understand, like, you know what, it's breaking up isn't shouldn't be your first option,
Yeah.
because there are a number of factors that you should factor in to kind of just get a feel. Like you got to ask yourself, why is this relationship not going well right now? Why are we in a funk? Why are we just not connecting right now? And I think being able to address those issues first is the most important thing.
Yeah, no, I think it's an interesting space to be in, because you never want a relationship to fail with somebody, right?
No.
Like when you start dating somebody, like we've talked about, and you've gotten to that point where you've trust that person, you've worked on it, and you're starting to feel these things, you don't want it to fail, right? That's why
No.
it's so hard. That's why it's so messy. You have given time, you have given a little bit of yourself, you've given, just a lot of things, right?
Yeah.
And you're at that place where you're like, what do I do? How can I do better? Like, is there anything I need to do? And I think the most important part is like, is it one-sided,
Mhm.
right? Is this the conversation, right? Because there's two people in a relationship.
Yeah.
And we forget this a lot of times, right? And if you're feeling that awkwardness, are they feeling that awkwardness, right? Because that's the important part. And something Connie reiterated over and over when we were talking with her was this idea of communication.
Yeah.
Am I communicating the best with my partner? Am I doing everything possible? And I think a lot of the times, if you're feeling that way, right, I think the first thing is to talk it out.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right. People go through funks. We have these moments where of a little bit depression sets in, right? Or sadness, or you're going, it's a hard day at work or a hard day at school. And you just don't know. You don't know how to feel and stuff like that. But this is the point of building these relationships. If you feel like you cannot have that conversation with that person,
Yeah.
then maybe it is time for you to start thinking, like, is this the right time?
Yeah. Well, I also think that there's like a number of factors you have to factor in. Is just you gotta, first of all, like I definitely think before you even think about breaking up, is you gotta ask and communicate with that person, like you said, right? And just be real and say like, hey, this is how I'm feeling. Like, are we okay? Is there something, because there might be an issue that hasn't been communicated that might be in the way of what's going on.
Yeah.
And you don't want to just jump to conclusions.
Mhm.
I think too often times we tend to do that. We assume what the other person is thinking, but you know what they say about assuming, right?
You don't.
It
Yep.
turns something out of you and me.
Yep.
And so that's the thing that I feel like we gotta understand. But the other factors I would say is you gotta factor in like where you are in life.
Yeah.
You gotta factor in like, okay, sustainably, does this relationship make sense for me right now? You know, and I feel like and the last thing that I want people to think is like, you know what, I've been in this relationship for a long time now, and it's too late to break up.
Yeah. I've already invested so much in it. Like, I don't want to start at zero.
Exactly. And I feel like it's even worse if you're older, right? If you're hitting like 26, 27, 28 into your 30s, right? And you're in that in between of you're wondering like, you know what? No, you know, we've been dating for however many years now.
4 years, 5
You know, it would be a
years.
waste if we just broke up right now. And you know what? I don't believe that any relationship is a waste. I think personally for me, I don't think they are. I think each one is a learning experience. I think each one helps you grow. And even if it ended up messy, right? Even, you know, and even to say like if there were other factors like, you know, abuse involved and whatnot, I think those are all growing experiences. You know, and I don't want to discredit again. Like I also want to be careful with what I say. You know, if you have experienced abuse in your relationships and you felt the need to get out of there, congratulations to you that you've mustered up the courage to go away. I don't want to diminish your experience, but at the end of the day, I also feel like, you know, it's a terrible experience, but you definitely have a chance to grow from it. And that will factor into your future relationships. Obviously, there's healing and it takes time. And, you know, eventually, you know, you have to come into that decision yourself. But I definitely want to say, like, you know what, all these experiences that we go through in our breakups, in our relationships, they grow us into becoming better versions of ourselves.
Yeah, and I think that's a common misconception, right? Many times we think when we break up with somebody, that's the end, and that's it, right? Sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Or it was a bad breakup, and you want nothing to do with them, or maybe it was even just amicably, right? And you're just like, hey, but you don't want to take that into that next relationship,
Yeah.
right? You think you can't, but in the reality is that, in my experience, you do.
Yeah.
You have to, because you learned so much. You became a whole different person. You know, you started understanding more about yourself and senses with another person, that it makes it so difficult sometimes when you're just trying to perhaps just cut the ties, cut the rope, and be like, oh no, I'm starting new. I'm gonna go back to the way things were.
Yeah.
Things never go back to how they were.
No.
You know, and that's the, you know, that's the beauty of relationships, and that's something people have to understand per se, that, you know, you won't be back to your former self.
No. And I think
Yeah.
that's scary because I think people just they feel like they've invested so much of themselves into the relationship that you lose yourself in the process, right?
Yeah.
So when you guys break up, it's like you lost that part of yourself.
Yeah.
And especially, man, like if you factor in a bunch of things, right? You factor in how emotionally attached you could be.
Yeah.
You could factor in some of the stuff that you guys have shared intimately, right? Whether it be conversations, whether it be physical intimacy, et cetera, right? If you factor those things in, that's a part of yourself that you're not getting back. And I think the fear is like, oh my goodness, if I step away from this, or once this breakup happens, it's like you lost a part of yourself. You may, for a while, for some people, lose themselves. They lose their identity. They lose their sense of value. They lose their sense of purpose. And I think, you know, obviously, you know what, breakups aren't easy, but they shouldn't be the thing that stops you from continuing on with your life.
Yeah, you know, your life doesn't stop or end the moment the breakup, when you break up, right?
No.
It keeps on going, and many times, yeah, it's okay to take a couple days, right, and say like, you know what, I just need to take a step back, right,
Yeah.
and move forward and like think and go back and reevaluate some things. But it you know, it may take a couple months, it may take, you know, weeks, you know,
Yeah.
you know, longer than you think, and but it's okay to do that, right? And that's the biggest thing. Like, you got to continue to move forward with your life, you know. And here's, I think this is the biggest thing, right? Like, not checking their progress and seeing how they're doing, and
Oh
if they're
yeah, bro.
happy, you know, then and making that, oh, if they're happy, then oh my goodness, what am I
Yeah.
doing? You know, and I
Man.
think that's like one of the worst things that
Yeah,
we
absolutely.
as young people do so much of the time, right? Because the breakup happens, right, and it could end well, But then what happens? Now we're checking how they're doing.
No, and I hate that. I feel like that's probably one of the most annoying things ever
Yes.
is when you check on social media, and then you see a story or you see the post and they're smiling and they're
Yeah,
going
they're
about
like,
their
yeah, let's
lives.
do this.
And
Yeah.
in your head, you're like, why are you so happy? We just broke up.
Yeah. And I think people have been there and they get annoyed at that,
Yeah.
right? Because they're suffering, right? And they're like, this was a lot of me. And maybe for that person, that's how they handle it,
Yeah.
right? But for them, they may think, oh, they just didn't care. Like
Yeah.
it never meant anything.
Yeah.
When in reality, maybe that person's just tearing up and that's just his way of getting over it.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can't go back after you've broken up and look back at that person and see everything that they're doing and hoping for, oh yes, like they're dealing with the same thing I am, because you are broken up. You guys
Yeah.
are no longer that one, right? You guys are now living your separate lives. You know?
So here's my question for you. Do you believe that once you break up, that's it? You shouldn't get back together?
I think it depends on the circumstances. For me personally, right?
Hmm.
This is my personal opinion right here. Um, I think if they cheated on you you're in a relationship, I don't think you should get back.
Hmm.
I think if you do break up for another reason, maybe you guys weren't ready, it's time, stuff like that, I think it's okay.
Hmm.
I think there's something to work with there, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think for me personally, if it has to do with cheating, right? I think that's a point where, not to say people can't change, right? But there's that saying like cheaters are gonna cheat, right? Like
Mm.
that's kind of the mindset, that's the mentality.
Yeah.
It's something that once you do something once, it's much easier to do it again and again and again.
Hmm.
And not to say that people, I do believe that if you have a strong enough relationship with that individual and it was just like a misstep, it was a weak moment, because we're human, right?
Yeah.
We have those moments in our life where just something happens, it's like everything lines up and you just happen to make that decision. I do believe that you can get back together in
Yeah.
that sense, right? I don't think any relationship is unbreakable unless something horrible has happened, but for me personally, I think that's where I draw the line right now.
Hmm.
Right? Because like I said, I've never been in love with somebody that much where I'm just like, hey, like,
Mhm.
they've never, done that to me in that sense.
Yeah. So I guess my follow-up question then, because you did say something about cheating, like is this just like physically cheating that you're referring to? Are you talking about emotionally
Oh
cheating?
man, that's good. That's a great question.
Because I definitely think that that's something that people should consider, is
Yeah.
because cheating might mean different things to
And,
different people.
let's talk about that a little bit. What do you think? What do you mean by emotionally cheating?
Yeah.
I think everybody knows what physically cheating is.
Yeah.
Yeah, but emotionally, what are you trying to like really go at there?
I think when it comes to emotional cheating, it's like, let's say it's the middle of the night and you decide to text somebody else, you know,
Mm.
or you have conversations with someone else, or maybe you flirt around with someone else and you have certain conversations, like, because I feel that might, I don't know if that's what you were referring to, but it kind of seemed like it when you said like, oh, you have moments of weakness in your relationship or whatever, right?
I mean, I think it goes for both. I was talking about both. Like, because physical cheating is the same way. Like, you have a
Yeah.
moment of weakness where, you're just like, oh, I want to be with this person
Mhm.
instead. But the same is with emotional, right? Like, you may that day, you may just be like, I want to talk to this guy. Like, I had a great relationship with him before,
Mm-hmm.
before I started dating this one individual, and it's still there, and maybe he just seems like the best person to talk to at the time,
Mm.
right? That's what I mean, and I think it goes both ways, right? And then we can also get into the conversation. Is it okay for a guy to have a best friend?
Yeah,
that's a
I was
girl?
literally thinking the
That's
same
yeah,
thing.
see, yeah,
I was if you didn't go there, I was gonna go
no,
there.
that's definitely where it's like, is it okay? Because for a lot of people, that's how it is, right? They have a guy best friend, or they have for a girl, they
Girl
have
best friend.
a girl best friend, or I
Oh,
mixed
yeah,
that
yeah,
up.
I know
Yeah,
what you meant.
but and that's their go-to.
Yeah,
But here's the thing. I think that it's very difficult. Like,
Yeah.
how do you gauge that if you're the significant other?
yeah.
Right? How do you see? I mean,
So before I get to that, because I have opinions about that, but
let's finish the thought on cheating.
thing,
Yeah.
right? So my big thing is, when it comes to physical cheating, right? I think that's where I can definitely, and it's so interesting because I feel like it's such a paradox because you really have to gauge like
Mm-hmm.
how deep that emotional bond was with that your significant other was having with the other person.
Yeah.
You know,
Like, and that's what I was saying, bro. Like, is it just like it was just a moment, like a
yeah.
human moment, right?
There's a difference between a moment of weakness and a prolonged like
Exactly.
years thing. You know,
Yeah.
like I've just been
Like a
talking to
whole
this.
life,
Yeah, no,
like a whole
bro.
second relationship,
So
type of
so
thing.
so what I would say is this, you know what? Because I definitely think there are times in the relationship, like, you know what? If you feel like you're getting this extra attention from someone else while you're in a relationship, you got to evaluate and ask yourself, you know, like why are you wanting this extra attention? Is it because your significant other isn't giving it to you? Is it because you guys are going through a rough patch and you feel the need to do this extra stuff? And if you are, then you got to check yourself and ask, is this worth it?
Yeah.
Because your relationship, if you are committed to this other person, right, you have to make sure that you are invested. It is all in or nothing. Because that's my thing. Like I'm of the mentality like, no, you
100%, bro.
you
You're
don't
there.
mess around,
Yeah.
and I think and I honestly feel like, in the past, right, like years ago, that was definitely something that I've seen in other people's lives that I'm like, you know what? Like that's
You
crazy.
can see here's the thing, like you can see how bad it can get,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I've also seen relationships that have been extremely strong and that there was forgiveness there.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And that's why I
Absolutely.
can't say with certainty, right? For me,
Yeah.
like with certainty that, oh, that's it, right? Like there's a reason. Because I think with love and if definitely there is a deep emotional bond and even a spiritual bond
Yeah,
there,
absolutely.
that it is
Absolutely.
always possible to come back.
I think this is why I love the way Jesus talks about, love each other as Christ loves the church,
Mm,
right? Because at the end of the day, right, we are that church, we
yeah.
are his people.
Yeah.
And in the same way that God shows grace to us and he forgives and he loves, right? We're called to be able to do the same thing. And here's the thing, like that is something that you have to go to God to, if that is something that you are struggling with, if you want to take that person back, or if there's friction in the relationship because of XYZ thing, I think you can work through it. I just think it's going to require a lot of time and a lot of healing
And a lot of prayer as
and a
well.
lot of prayer,
Yeah,
And
and
so,
that goes with both physical and emotional, right?
absolutely.
Because the emotional, I think, is just as important.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And this idea that I'd rather be with this person than my own boyfriend
Yeah.
or my own
Or
girlfriend.
girlfriend. Yeah.
And I think if you're in that space, right, then I think that's another sign where you think you're like, okay, I need to have this conversation. Why am I thinking this way?
Yeah.
Why would I rather be with that?
Yeah.
And I think it's a real thing, like emotionally cheating.
Yeah.
Um, but no, definitely.
So I guess just to wrap up this part, right? I would just suggest to all the people out there, honestly, like what they have to do is you gotta again evaluate what you're doing, realize what you're doing, because honestly, it's so easy to just dismiss it and keep going at it, and before you know it, you're in a big old mess, And
Yeah.
so I would just say like just take that time and really force yourself to reevaluate what's going on in your relationship, what's going on in your heart, and the things that you need to address, and solve those things before it gets worse.
Yeah.
But so here's what's interesting though. In terms of can a guy have a girl best friend or can a girl have a guy best friend?
This is tough, bro. I go back and forth on this.
I
And
don't.
you don't
I
you
don't.
don't think it's possible?
No,
You don't think
I
it's
don't think it's
possible?
possible. And
Okay, let me ask you this though. Okay. Oh,
you're
that's
good.
all
You're
right.
good.
So let me ask you this though. All right. And this just came to my mind. Let's just give you a situation like you and Vanessa,
Okay.
right? Let's say Vanessa has a guy best friend,
Mm-hmm.
but he's ugly. No, I'm serious.
No, yeah.
But he's not
No,
attractive physically
Yeah,
at
I
all.
find it funny, but yeah. You're not
But
wrong.
I was thinking about it.
Yeah.
Would you be okay with it then?
No.
No, you still don't think so?
So let me explain my reasoning for why.
Okay.
All
I
right.
just wanted to throw that question out there for you.
Yeah. And again, look, this is my thinking. You know what? If you don't agree, that's fine. If other people don't agree,
Yeah,
that's
no.
fine.
Dude, that's the point of this.
That's the whole point of
Yeah.
this. This sharing, our thoughts and
Yeah.
sharing our opinions on these types of conversations. Honestly, I don't think so because at the end, here's the thing. When I think of of a girlfriend, right? I would hope that your girlfriend is your girl best friend.
Mm, that's
Because
good.
if you don't have a friendship with your significant other,
What are you doing?
what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like,
It's not a real relationship
no,
per
because
se.
I think there has to be friendship involved in your relationship. It's not just physical. There's more than just physical intimacy. There's emotional intimacy. There's sharing and giving. That just reminded me of an episode of Friends where Joey's like, yes, giving and receiving.
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
There's a lot of giving and there's a lot
Gotta
of
receive
receiving.
it. Yeah, I know, bro.
You know,
Oh, that's
but
good. We need to watch that
but
again.
I know there's a Friends reference for everything. Here's the thing though, right? I would think that your girlfriend is your girl best friend,
Yeah.
or that your boyfriend is your guy best friend. Because for me, I'm thinking, okay, if my best friend is of the opposite gender, right, but they're not my significant other, like then I have to reevaluate. Then
Yeah.
why am I not in a relationship with the person that I consider to be my best friend?
No, it's so hard, dude. Right, and I'm in the same boat as you. Right, I think here's my thing. Right, this is what I always say, is that if when the hard time comes, like she's going to him instead of me,
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
that's my problem.
Yeah.
Right. And for me, that's my thing. Like, I don't think I have a huge problem. Right. I don't think it's, I'm still iffy on it. I'll let you know if I'm in a relationship again. Then I can see how
Yeah.
those feelings come again. Right. Because then you get to the thing like you're just being jealous, right? And oh, you don't trust me.
No, no,
But
no.
that's a whole nother
That's
thing.
so different,
Yeah,
though.
but that happens sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think for me is like if she's not at that point where like something's going hard wrong with her life, it's tough, like things are getting difficult, and if she doesn't come to me, right, but instead goes to him.
Or I would also say if you guys are having trouble in your relationship
Yeah.
and they're going to some other guy, that's
Yeah.
where I'm like, no.
Yeah, that's
You
that,
should be able to come to me and
and we
talk to
have
me
have
and
those
us
conversations.
figure it out
Oh
together,
no,
you know?
definitely, and that's always where I've been at
Yeah.
with that per se. But yeah, dude, like you said, your girlfriend, you're hopefully either maybe you don't know each other that long, but you're trying to get to that place
Yeah.
where you're each other's best friend,
Yeah.
right, with your girlfriend or with your boyfriend, So that's my opinion on that.
This is what I'll add though, because you just brought up a good point, right? This doesn't happen overnight, right? They're not your best friend from the moment you guys start to date, unless they were already your best friend before you dated,
yeah.
you know? But what I will say is this, because at some point, whoever you consider your best friend to be of the opposite gender, right? The moment you get in a relationship, your best friend takes the back seat.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's why I say that it can't happen, because at some point or another, you will stop talking to your best friend after a period of time, because now you're more invested in your significant other.
Yeah.
And they should be the ones who have the most of your attention.
Yeah,
you know.
and I think there's examples. We both have friends who, of the opposite sex that have started relationships, and what happens with our relationship?
Your friendships, your
they
friendship,
die down.
They
I can
die
think of
down.
somebody right now,
right?
you know?
And here's the thing. That's okay.
Yeah.
that's not a bad thing.
It's
you
not.
you prioritize and you realize, like, you know what, this person is taking more of an importance in my life, and that's fine.
And that's how it should be.
Yeah.
There's no need to be jealous over the fact that, oh, like she's not spending time with me, or like this and that, because if you're really her friend, you'll be happy that they found somebody that they can actually share and experience life with.
Yeah.
Right.
And don't get me wrong, right? Like, there is a level.
Well, you still have to be friends. Don't get me.
There is a level to also understand, like, there's, what's the word? You also don't want to be that jealous boyfriend or jealous girlfriend, like, oh my gosh, like they're always spending time together, blah, 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 right? But you also, like, I feel like there's a sense of being reasonable and like understanding, like, okay, there's a difference between being friends and they hang out every once in a while.
Yeah.
But if you're constantly hanging out and you're constantly alone and you're constantly doing things together,
That's when things, yeah.
I'm like, I don't know, dude. I don't know. You let us know. Throw it down in the chat,
in the comment
in the
section.
comment section. Let us know. Like, do you agree with this? Do you not agree with this? And tell us why. That actually, I'd be curious to see what our audience thinks.
Definitely.
But let's dial it back though, because when it comes to we're talking about breakups, right? How have you dealt with breakups in the past?
Bro, you know my answer to that. Everybody knows my answer. I think if they listen to the podcast, you get a bag of Takis, you get some sweethearts, and you play some video games with your friends, bro, for like a weekend, and then you come back
And you're good.
and you're good to go. No. I'm just kidding. That's not how I deal
Oh
with
man.
breakups.
Well, more what I was thinking is like how
Emotionally.
No. Even before then, like how do you break up with someone, or how should you break up with
I
someone?
think, dude, and it's the hardest thing to do in the world. But you call them, and you text
call them?
You call them. No. Like you're not letting me. I was gonna say a joke, bro. You didn't let me finish my joke. I was gonna say you call them and just be like, "Hey, we're done," and you hang up. Man, you're so bad, bro. I was trying to go for a joke there.
I'm sorry. I was like, are you kidding me? You do not call them.
No, dude. Man, dude, you're always messing up my
man.
jokes. Whatever.
It's okay. They're not funny.
They're extremely hilarious, bro. Okay, you hang out one weekend where people think you're funny, and now all of a sudden you're like the funny king, dude.
Yeah, I am, bro.
Oh my goodness, you're not funny, dude. You laugh at yourself more than other people.
I'm
laugh at
okay
you.
with that.
No, I'm just
as
saying.
long as I'm laughing, I'm a happy camper. But anyway, let's get back into this.
Thing. You're so
That was our little
roommate. That's a roommate conversation right there at the house.
Yeah, we've ended our commercial break. We're right back, guys.
We're
Thank
right
you
back
very
here.
much.
Thank you for sponsoring us. Yes. What was the question?
How should you break up with somebody?
Dude, you do it in person, right?
Yeah.
You go to a place and alone, right? You don't want a bunch of people around.
No, of course not.
Dude, I'm just getting a bunch of like movie reference scenes.
Bruh.
Like I got this scene from West Wing where like somebody's like, "Oh, I gotta tell you something," but they took her out to the hallway because it was bad news, and then
Yeah.
she ended up still yelling and making a big scene, hoping that But no, you do it in private, right? And you have that conversation, and you don't. I think that you have to be transparent as possible.
Yeah.
And just tell them how you feel, tell them everything that's going on, and explain to them why. Because I think at the end of the day, if you have built a deep relationship with this person, you owe them that.
Yeah.
I can't say I've always done that per se, but now I know that's like the best way to go. You just you have the conversation, you let it all out there. They're another human being. They're gonna experience feelings. You cannot run away from that as much as you want to.
Yeah.
I mean, technically you can, right? But that's not the right thing to do.
No, I think it's probably one of the hardest things that individuals have to do.
Yeah.
It's gonna hurt regardless, whether it ends on bad terms or if it ends on really good terms. It's still gonna hurt.
Oh yeah,
You know?
and those couple of days after, it's not gonna be easy, man. Like you're
No.
gonna see them, you're gonna start doubting, you're gonna start thinking, did I do the right thing?
Yeah.
You're gonna, all these emotions come in, right? But if you have gotten to that point, right, of I need to break up with this person, right, and you've prayed about it, you've thought about it, you've talked it through,
Yeah.
then that's the decision that you've made, and you have to live on, and you have to move on, and you have to be able to deal with it. Yeah, there's grieving. Yeah, there's hurt. Yeah, there's pain. Yeah, you're gonna probably go eat out a little bit more and take, eat some comfort food, like we love
Yeah.
to call it, right? But that's normal. We're human beings,
Yeah.
and we experience emotions in a very, very strong manner.
Yeah. I would just say, the big thing when it comes to breakups is when you do break up, just be honest.
Yeah.
And just say like, hey, you know what? This is how I feel. It may not be your fault, or maybe it is your fault, but like, just be mindful of what you say, But at the end of the day, like, I think you should be honest and share what's on your mind, share what's on your heart. And if you think that it's what's the word? It's not reconcilable. I don't know or unreconcilable, whatever the word is.
If you do not think you can reconcile it.
Yeah, that word.
There you go.
Like if you don't think you can reconcile, like be honest.
Or is it reconcile?
Whatever it is. and be honest and just, you take a step back and you move on. And you also got to understand, like, some people are like, oh, I don't want to break up with them because I don't know how they're going to react. Like, dude, you're going to be okay, and so are they. And don't forget, like, God's going to honor you and God's going to honor them.
Yeah.
And sure, you know what? It's going to suck. Breakups suck, and it's perfectly fine once those relationships come to an end. It's not the end of the world. I think it's actually,
Even though it feels like
it
it,
feels
though.
like it, but
Definitely feels like it.
honestly, it's the chance for a new beginning.
Mm.
You know, it's a chance for you to reevaluate yourself, recommit yourself to taking more time to yourself, to more self-care,
Yeah.
you know, recommit to God, recommit to the relationships that you lost along the way. Like
And
if your
yeah,
friendships, you know, have taken a hit.
and I think you look back, right? And you
Yeah.
look at the positives, you look at the negatives, and you take those and you look for your next real, you know. And here's the thing, I think there's something I want to say. Like everybody is different, right? Like in terms of how long it takes for them to get over somebody, right?
Yeah.
Because that's always a conversation,
Yeah.
right?
It's like how long.
How long? 3 months, 6 months, 2 weeks, he's already talking to somebody else, right? Everybody's different, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is, I think one thing you want to do, we're trying to, throughout this podcast, we're trying to create healthy relationships, right? And only you know when is the right time for you to
Yeah.
start dating again. I cannot tell you a date. I cannot give you a timeline. I can't say 3 weeks and then you're good to go. You're ready to move on. No, only you know.
Yeah.
And if you really want a healthy relationship, you will take the time you need in order for you to move on so that you're ready for that next person, whoever they may be.
Yeah. And what I'll even add to that too is, and this is me speaking from my own personal experience.
Yeah.
Because I went through a breakup. It wasn't bad, but I didn't let my heart heal. And I thought I did. I convinced myself that I was perfectly fine when deep down I really wasn't.
You were hurting, huh?
I was hurting
Your
so
heart,
much.
your heart was just like, ugh.
No, and the thing is, like, it's because the relationship, I didn't want the relationship to end, but I knew it had to end. I knew that it was best for this person.
Yeah.
And that's why we broke up. It's not because she wanted to, it's not because I wanted to. It's because honestly, it was exactly what she needed. And that's when I knew, like, you know what, this is fine. But because I thought, like, you know, we were on good terms, whatever, we ended well, I was like, oh, I'm fine. You know what, we broke up, but it's okay. You know, we ended up on good terms. But the reality is I wasn't good. And I ended up doing, I didn't do bad things, but I think I tried to get back on the horse and
A little too fast.
a little too fast. And I think that's when I realized a little while in, like, no, I needed time to figure my stuff out.
And for everybody's different, man. And depending on how the relationship ends, everything is different.
Yeah.
And that's just the reality of it. But I think one thing we want people to take, and we'll start wrapping up right now, is that breakups, number one, they're an avenue for you to be able to move on to the next thing, right? There's
And it's not necessarily a person.
no, it's the next thing in your life.
Yeah.
It could be, and thing is person, place, or thing, right? That's what the definition of thing is, right? I hate using that word. I remember, like, I wish I could say other things, right? But like, it's that next step. It's what you need to do. And
Next chapter in your life.
There you go. I like that better. Next chapter, whatever that is, and it's okay to be at that point.
Yeah.
Not your first relationship or like every relationship. Yeah, we hope every relationship we're in is the one, right? And it is the one that we can, like, last for years and be happy and get engaged and all that. But it's not like that. And you go and you heal the way that you need to. But number one, understand you're not alone.
Yeah.
You still have your friends.
Yeah.
You still have your family. There are still people who love you. They're not the only person in the world that loves you guys. There is still love there. God still loves you as well. And he has shown that time and time again in our lives. And understand that, right? And that hole may be a little bit empty, but it can be filled.
Yeah. And with the right things too.
Yes.
Because what I will say is, when it comes to figuring stuff out post breakup, right? A lot of people lose their identity because they've dedicated so much of themselves to the relationship.
Yeah.
And once that person's ripped away from them, it's like, shoot, I used to be so and so's boyfriend, or I used to be so and so's girlfriend. Now I'm just me. And for a lot of people, that's a scary thing, that they realize, like, it's just me. What do I do now? But what I would encourage our listeners to realize is, like, this is the perfect opportunity that you have. That if you were unhappy, or if you were struggling while you were in a relationship, this is a perfect opportunity that you have to work on yourself. To work on becoming a better version of yourself, right? To constantly improve, right? This is a time you know what? Yes, You're gonna spend time eating food. You're gonna spend time watching Netflix.
Or maybe it's the opposite. Maybe you go to the gym
No,
and
so
work out a bunch, you
so
know?
that's I was about to get to that. But what I would also say is like once you have taken your time to mourn, this is when you get ready. Like I kid you not, man. When this is your opportunity. You know what? You've been struggling. You've
Yeah.
been sad. You know what? Channel that sadness. Channel that anger. Hit the gym. You know, pick up a new hobby. Learn a new craft. Whatever. Right? Focus on read books. You know,
Yes.
this is your time
To get better.
to get better.
Yes.
To focus on you, to be happy. You know, like this is
Yeah.
your time where like, you know what? Now I don't have to rely on someone else to be happy. Now I
No.
don't have to rely on someone else to bring entertainment into my life. Now I don't have to rely on someone else to have a relationship with God with. Like, no. I can be happy on my own. I can have Jesus in my life and have a flourishing relationship with God because at the
Yeah.
end of the day, right, our identity isn't found in a person. Our relationship is found in Jesus.
Yep.
And this is where we have this beautiful opportunity to thrive.
Yeah, no, I think you said it perfectly, man. And that's it, right? And breakups are gonna be that way, and they're gonna happen. Oh man, I forgot there was something I wanted to add. Oh, like, and you know how people always say work on yourself, but actually do it.
Actually do it.
That's what I want to say. Like, work on yourself, and it's okay to ask people for help, and
Oh,
it's
yeah.
okay to be like, hey, what do you think I should read, or ask somebody, hey, like, can I hang out with you?
Yeah.
Make new friends,
Make new friends.
join new circles,
Be friends with everybody.
yeah, like, and I think something else is like, oh, I was friends with all of his friends. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean all of a sudden you guys broke up and you're not friends,
Yeah.
right? And yeah, it's a little bit awkward, right? And hopefully you don't have to choose sides. But if not, guess what? There's a lot of people out in the world, and there's
Yeah.
definitely different friend circles that you can be a part of.
Yeah. And I forgot to mention this because there's always that conversation that people have post breakup. Get your closure. I have to reiterate that because a lot of people hold on to everything for so much because they haven't gotten that closure.
Yeah, there
And
you
by
go.
closure, I mean that conversation that you have after you have broken up.
Yeah, and
It-
be like, hey, like, I'm here, like, let's talk. And I literally, like, I just had a closure conversation the other day, right? And it's just so freeing, right? You're just
Yeah.
like, okay, like, yeah, we both moved on, and we both, it's okay. Like,
Yeah.
I'm okay, they're okay. You want what's best for them, and you just move forward.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, there's more stuff that I want to say, but I got to be mindful of the time, but I do want to add this though. If you have broken up, don't talk to them. Like
No, you're right. Don't do
Don't
it. It's
talk to
it's the
them.
worst idea you can do.
because a lot of people they break up and they continue to text and I'm like, "Why?"
Yeah.
You have no business doing it, right? And here's the thing. You have to, during this, if you think about Ross and Rachel, right? Ross,
We were on a break.
we were on a break. Ross,
We didn't even get
here's the
into
thing.
we were on a break.
Here's the thing. Like, you don't even give yourself the opportunity to process. Ross messed up because he didn't have the time to process what was going on, right? And sure, you know what? At the end of the day, she wanted to get back together with him and whatnot, right? But the reality is, you need to give yourself time to process. Oh my goodness, we broke up. Give yourself time to mourn. Give yourself time to reevaluate. And if after that time you guys reconvene and you see each other later on, and you're
Yeah.
like, oh, you know what? Hey, I need to talk to you. Like, I don't want to continue to be broken up. Then that's when you have that conversation. But you need to have that closure conversation at some point. But it's not gonna happen when you guys are constantly texting each other.
No, you're 100% right, and I'll even take it a step further. Like, you kind of just need to push them away for a little bit,
And that's fine.
completely.
It's healthy.
Block them on Instagram
For a little
right?
bit, yeah, if
Yeah,
you
for
need
a little
that.
bit, block them. And I know people are gonna talk. People are gonna say things, right? Like, oh, like, and then the guy's gonna be like,
Like,
oh, or the girl,
oh,
oh,
yeah.
she blocked me. Like, I can tell. Who cares? Like, this is how you process. This is how you deal with it.
Yeah.
You want to move on, and you moving on is the best step for yourself.
Yeah,
And I think you do what you need to do for yourself, not what society tells you what you need to do.
absolutely.
I think that's the biggest thing.
So let's wrap this up, man.
I
What
already
would
said wrap it up like
I
10
know?
minutes ago.
I know, but now we can actually wrap it up.
Why, how come when you say wrap it up, we're wrapping it up, but when I say wrap it up, we don't wrap it up?
Because I had like last bit
It's just
little.
you just went off on a rant again.
I had to.
That's what you always
Those
do.
those were good things, man. Those are good things that I feel like our listeners needed to hear.
Yeah, I know that was good. All right, now let's wrap it up.
Let's wrap it up. No, Joseph. What would you say is like as we let our listeners leave, right? What is the takeaway? What is the practical thing that we need to hear right now as we go?
Be like, do what you need to do. It's just what I just said, right? Understand, number one, you are loved. That's it, right? Number one, you are loved regardless of who what happens,
Yeah.
right? Number one, know that. And number two, do what you need to do.
Hmm.
Do what you need to do in order for you to move on, for you to take those next steps, for you to be in a healthy mindset, in a healthy lifestyle, healthy spiritually. Get to that point again where you can say, because perhaps, and perhaps because of the relationship you weren't at that place, but get back to being you if you were not in a great place to begin with. And I think with just doing those two things, right? And number one, have peace. Be at peace with it. That's the last thing, right? Be at peace with what happened. Be at peace with the way to end it. Be at peace with the decisions you have made, because there's a reason you made those decisions. Don't start overthinking it, right? Because we do that as humans. I do it a lot. You do it a lot. We have conversations about that all the time. Be at peace with it. And then that way, and then ultimately, trust in God.
Trust in God.
Yeah.
I think my takeaway, it's a quote from one of my favorite anime of all time, but it was so powerful, man.
Yeah.
So judge me if you want for watching anime, but this is what the quote says. Even if your life is full of tears and sorrow, this world is still a beautiful place. Open your eyes and see it for yourself. Do what you want to do. Be who you want to be. Find friends to share the good and the bad with you. Enjoy life and don't be in a hurry to grow
Hey,
up.
I didn't see this in the notebook, bro.
What?
It's just, this is what you're watching today, huh?
No, it actually, I haven't watched this in years, but it just popped into my mind right
Yeah,
now.
that's good. I like that one.
Right?
That was good.
I
Yeah.
think it's a great opportunity that you have right now, listener. Whatever you're going through, if you were in a breakup or if you're in the middle of processing a breakup, this is a good time for you to focus on enjoying life and enjoying being alone, enjoying figuring out who you are, enjoying life with your friends. This is your time to flourish. This is your time to thrive. Take ownership of it.
I love it, man. And that concludes our relationship series.
Yep.
Kevin, it has been a fun month, and
However long
how
it's
long
been.
ever it's been, yeah, but it's been great, and we're so excited about our next series.
Yeah, man.
Right? We have some great people coming on, and we're gonna have some fantastic conversation. I just can't wait, man.
It's going to be good. There's a lot of this upcoming series for those of you who are out there. We're going to be talking about, all these different topics, different things that we go through when it comes to life, culture, church, and whatnot. And so we just want to encourage you guys, you know what? This is a great time that we're going to go through. This series is going to be sick, and we have a lot of good people coming in. So stay tuned.
All right, let's wrap it up.
Stay tuned. But hey, don't forget to like our YouTube page, like this podcast. Make sure you leave a review if you're on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, Elevate San Diego, and also make sure to follow us on Instagram at Elevate the Name to stay up to date with all things podcast related or all things Elevate related.
All right, guys. See you guys
See you next time.